Today I'm going to show you how to point a patio the old-fashioned way, using nothing more than a simple sand and cement mix. Before all the modern compounds and ready-mix products came along, this was the method that builders and landscapers relied on for years, and when it's done properly, it can still give excellent, long-lasting results. I'll take you through the whole process, step by step, from mixing the mortar to filling the joints and finishing them off neatly. So let's point. So let's take a look at some of the things we're going to need to do our pointing job. We're going to need a spade, a flexi tub or two, some general purpose cement, some kiln dried sand, some grit sand and some washing up liquid. We are also going to need a craft knife, some duck or gaffer tape, a soft hand brush and some PVA glue and 2 bottles, preferably one with a valve top, a small pointing trowel, a cartridge gun and some tubes of CT1 construction adhesive, some block paving sealer, a tray and some rollers and some sleeves, some gravel binder in the form of Stonehold and a small hand pump sprayer. So after grinding out the old pointing on this side of the patio, we can't use sand and cement to reattach the flag because it will raise the height of it, so I use the construction adhesive as I find this is an easier way just to stick the flag down to keep it nice and level. So we put the adhesive on and then put the flag on and then give it a wobble to get that flag stuck down. Now all the flags are set, we can now crack on with the actual pointing preparation. So we get our gaffer tape and our craft knife and we start to tape up the edge of every Indian stone flag. It is time consuming, but it pays out at the end when there's no mortar stains to clean off. Try and be as accurate as you can, but it doesn't matter if there's some showing. Something is better than nothing, and try to do it on the day you're actually doing the pointing. I did some of this the night before, and when I came back it had blown off in the wind. The duct tape brand isn't as sticky as the cheaper gaffer tape brands, but when you come to peel off the cheaper gaffer tape, it's a lot stronger and leaves some residue behind. So it's up to you which one you go for. I personally would stick with the duct tape because it's easier to peel off. So I just crack on and get the whole job done. Well, I do half of the job and then crack on with pointing because my knees were sore. So always wear knee pads if you don't want sore knees. And just remember the old adage, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So now all our flags are taped up, we can start thinking about our PVA mixture. I use an 8-to-1 mixture, that is 8 parts water to 1 PVA, and I use my smaller bottle to squirt it into the joints more accurately. And then I get my paintbrush and I just brush it around. And what this does, it does two things. It traps down the dust so that our cement adheres to the underneath, and secondly it stops water being sucked out of our mix straight away so cracking doesn't occur further down the line, as we want our pointing mixture to dry slower rather than faster. I'm using a 1-inch paintbrush here, and a little tip for you, when you're mixing your PVA glue into your bottle, try mixing it into warm water. This just helps the mixing process go a little bit easier. Otherwise, if it's cold, the PVA glue just sinks to the bottom and is quite hard to mix. Try and let the PVA glue dry in the joints ever so slightly, and don't leave big pools of PVA glue water in there, because when you put your pointing mix in, it does tend to push out the water and interfere with your compo. So now it's time to start thinking about pointing. So I use a 3-2-2 mix, which is 3 kiln dried, 2 cement and 2 grit sand. This gives me the best colour and the best strength pointing mix, and I put it in my flexi tub, mix it all together. I do actually later in the project start using 2 flexi tubs to mix by pouring one out into the other and vice versa. This is the best way to mix it rather than the spade, because you risk putting a hole in your flexi tub as I did. And then I add the washing up liquid to my big flexi tub of water so it is always consistent, and then we just mix that up. And what consistency we're looking for is quite wet but not so wet that we lose the integrity of the mix. So have a look at this. This is what we're looking for. We don't want any water floating on the surface because that means it's too wet. So we can crack on now with pointing. So we get our little trowel, and I just like to put it on by hand, take my time, little bits as I go, and I mix little batches at a time. I don't want to start mixing one big batch to last me all day, because by the time I've finished it will have started to go off. So do little and often for the best results. And notice, even though the mix is wet, I can still achieve the compaction, and this is because I've got the grit sand in there. If we just went in with building sand, the water in there would make the sand buoyant, and when you push down with your trowel, the mixture that you've already got in there would push out. So I like to add the grit sand, not only for that, but for the strength of the mix also. And I choose kiln dried sand over building sand and 2 cement in my mix, because I don't want that pink cement colour. When it finishes, I want a nice grey colour, and this mix gives me that appearance. It is a time consuming job, but in the long run you will be better off than using the joint filling compounds. Once you've done a little bit of pointing and you've finished all the angles of the flags, you can start to peel it off early. And this just is because if your tape overlapped the flag, when you pull it out, you might remove some of the mortar. So if you do it at this point, you can still finish it off and repair it. Whereas if you let it dry before taking it off, it's going to be stuck in there and impossible to remove. And as well, as you go along, do the touch test. If you touch it and it doesn't really make an impression, it's time to polish the joint up. So I just keep my glove on and I just go along and use my trowel along the edges just to get it off the flag if it has got on there. And this just gives that final appearance. It's the difference between a good job and a great job. And then I go on with the glove and just get rid of all those trowel marks left behind before, just to create a nice, softer appearance. I've tried many things, but I just find the glove on the hand is the best tool, because you can feel exactly what you're doing. If you notice as well, I also like to leave my pointing level with the flag. I don't like leaving a recess for water to sit in, because what happens is you get a crusty layer of sediment in there which peels off and is unsightly. And also in the winter, the water will sit there, and if it's a frost, it will freeze in there as well. And this might reduce the effect of the pointing going into the future. So once we've done that, we get our hand brush and we just put some little brush marks into the pointing, and this for me just finishes it off nicely and softens everything up, as well as cleaning any little dried bits of mortar off the flag. And look at that, absolutely beautiful. As well, a little tip, if you can't get all your pointing done in one day, leave your last bit of pointing that you do at an angle lower than the flag, and then the next day come along with a bit of neat PVA glue on your finger and just put it on, and then when you put your next layer on, the two will adhere together. Whereas if you just do right stop at a right angle, the two will never adhere, because they'll just be butt up to each other and water will be able to get in there. But that PVA glue on there will stop this from happening. And look at that pointing job. Old-fashioned, but still serves a purpose today. And for me, this will still be like this in 10 years. So now we've finished our pointing, let's crack on with this block paving area. So first of all, I need to get my kiln dried sand, which I've used for my pointing, and brush this into the joints. If this was a driveway, I would have to hire a whacker, because the sand needs to be whacked to vibrate it to get it down into the cracks. But because this is just for the bin store, brushing in by hand will be absolutely fine, and then we'll go on with the block paving sealer and this will secure it further. So we brush that in and we make sure that we've brushed all the sand off once we've got it all in the cracks. We have a nice clean surface and it doesn't stick to our roller, and leave sand all over the place on our blocks. We want the stand to stay in our joints. Now notice I load the roller up and then I push down, releasing the sealer onto the flag and pushing it and let it soak into the joints. I don't want to pick any sand up on this roller because when it dries, we'll come back and we'll have the sand in the pattern of the block paving on the top of our block pavers. So I just carry on doing this on the whole thing, and then I let it dry, and then I go on with a second coat. The second coat won't need as much because the sand has set. It doesn't let any of the sealer in, so on the second coat you will use a lot less. Well, the next job is we need to fill in these voids around the edge of the patio with some gravel. I've chosen Staffordshire Pink pea gravel because this is what is already on the other side, so I'm literally just blending in. So we just push that in by hand and get it somewhat level with the flags because we are going on with the Stonehold. So we just pour that gravel in, and then once this is all in, we can then get on with some water and wash all the dust and sediment off because we need this gravel to be ultra clean and ultra dry before we can spray the Stonehold on this gravel. So I just get the hose pipe on a nice spray and just wash that sediment off, and already we can see that it is getting a lot cleaner and the Stonehold will adhere a lot better with it being not dusty. So this is my first time using this Stonehold from Resin Mill. I went on the Amazon page and it recommended using this sprayer, but as it turns out this is not the right sprayer to use. As you lean the sprayer forward, all the Stonehold runs to the top of the sprayer away from the suction hose, meaning nothing comes out. So it's a bit of a mess. So I ended up going back to the drawing board and ordering the one you saw earlier. After one application, it had done somewhat of a job, but it was still loose and I could still pick bits and pieces off. So I decided to go on with that second bottle in the right sprayer this time. So I bought the Spear & Jackson hand pump sprayer with the lance, and it was a lot better. It took a little bit to get used to because you've got to get it out so it doesn't squirt everywhere. So it's just having that confidence in the trigger till you get it right. So at first I was a bit tentative with it, but as I got round the corner I was a different individual and I found it a lot easier to use, especially than the one I used earlier in the video. So once you've finished that on your second coat, this should last, and with it not being a heavy traffic area, there is no way this is going to get kicked out. And once you've finished with the product, make sure you wash out your sprayer, fill it with water and run some water through it. I just did a full tank, took quite a bit to get rid of, but I can now use that sprayer for something else. If I just left it in there, that sprayer would be no good because all that gluey substance would get stuck in all the pipes and stop it working. So what I've done is most of the products that I've used today, I've left a link in Amazon so you can check them out for yourself. And hopefully it's given you the confidence to try a job like this and look at the results you could get. So we'll see you on the next video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.